Look at that. Look at that smooth transition. What's up? Welcome to Rational Live. It is Friday, April 29th, 2022. I'm your host, David Dole. Let's get my first drink in here. So it's going to be a nice, fun live stream. Largely laid back. This is not I don't know why I dressed up for this. This is going to be very different from my usual live streams. Much more laid back. I'm not really all that prepped today as usual, but it's going to be even more fun because of that. So let's what do I do? I haven't done a stream in like 2 months, so I forget what I normally do. Oh yeah, of course, if you want to support the show, rationalnational.com, therationalnational.com/join. That is the Patreon page. You can also go to patreon.com/therationalnational. Links below the video in the description box on YouTube to help support the show. And of course, throughout, I'll be taking super chats as well. So there's that. Many ways to help support the show, because we all know YouTube hates me personally, but also hates independent media mostly. And it is, hard to get our news out there. We see it in the back end in terms of what it shows us, in terms of, like, if you try and search a topic in the news one of these days, like today, and I covered it, you're going to find me on page like 20. You're going to find, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC at the top on the front page. So it can be hard to discover our content, which is why supporting us in various ways and sharing our content is really the only way to get the word out. But there we go. So that goes away now. There. Look at this. I'm getting the hang of it. So I decided to come back for a live stream because it's been a while, and I have been doing a few Twitch live streams here and there because the audience is so small in there. There's like no pressure to do anything. So pretty much just, jump on Twitch and chat a bit and play some games. But here, I'll be chatting a bit, drinking a bit, covering some stuff, and reading the chat as well. Jamie says, Dave looks good. Wow. Thank you, Jamie. Very kind of you. I actually really need a haircut. Have you ever had your hair, grow so long that you end up trimming it yourself? Like, I trimmed the back of my neck around my ears like a few weeks ago. Now it's coming back. So now I really need a haircut. It's just, I don't know about you, I hate getting haircuts, and especially with COVID, and it's really going around now, and I have a kid who's not vaccinated. He can't get the vaccine. So I am trying to avoid a haircut as much as possible. But at some point, I'm not going to go back to 2020/21 David, but I don't know. I have to do something. All right. You missed me, Doug. Wow, thank you. You ever going to go on H3H3? People, thank you, Forgotten Once, for thinking that I'm big enough to do that. But he doesn't know who I am. And to be fair, I've watched a few of his videos and stuff. Obviously, he's a huge YouTuber, but I don't, follow him all that closely either. So the idea of me going on his show when neither of us really know each other, probably unlikely. Jessica here with a super chat saying, happy Friday, only 4 days for Nina's election. Think she can win, David? It's cutting off your chat. Hold up. I hope to God so. I hope so too. We're going to have to see. But it is 4 days away, so make sure if you are in her district, Ohio's 11th, I believe, make sure you are going to vote if you haven't early voted and you're out there. Nina, of course, needs all the help she can get. It's very tough to beat an incumbent. So I really hope she can pull this off, but it's going to be tough. Not even the Justice Dems in Congress have come out to endorse her because they're afraid of offending the powers in the party. Just very disappointing on that front. But at the same time, would their endorsement really have done all that much? Hard to say. So we will see if she can pull this off, but I hope so. No, Mr. Rabbit, you are not late. There is, as I said earlier at the beginning, this is a very laid back stream, so it's going to be largely chatting, but I do have a few stories I want to cover for sure, starting with Elon Musk. So I already got it prepped. Before I get to it, one more chat came in. Father Ted says, how many conservatives does it take to change a light bulb? LOL, that light bulb is never getting changed. Okay. All right, let's get to Elon Musk's super cringe. Elon Musk posted some incredible cringe on Twitter, and it got torn apart. So let me share this and break down how stupid this is. And this isn't really a discussion about Elon Musk as much as it's about this idea that the Democratic Party has moved left, when nothing at all indicates that. But let's start with, transition. Let's start with his tweet here, where he, in fact, maybe I'll go small. No, I won't go small. Let's just do this. Here we go. So he posted this showing year 2008. There he is, just left of center. And then 2012. Apparently in 2012, the left moved really far left, while he stays just left of center. And then in 2021, the woke progressive is calling somebody a bigot, apparently. And now Elon Musk is to the right of the center. So he's trying to claim here, the left has moved so far left. Yes. All the crazy left-wing things that have happened since 2012, like Medicare for all. No. Higher wages. No. Like what has gone on? So let me go through a lot of this here. And the responses are, of course, universal in calling out the bullshit. But let's start with this. So we have to first attack this on, what is he trying to say? Is he saying the Democratic Party has moved left? Or is he saying that the voters have moved far left? Well, we actually have an answer on what he meant. I'll get there. But let's start with the assumption that he means the voters. So the voters have moved super left, and that's why he can no longer be with the left wing. Okay. Looking at issues such as gay marriage, it's gradually increased since 2012. But okay, a majority of people, and by the way, look who's on the correct side of history here. It took a long while, for the Democratic Party to catch up, but they eventually caught up. But now even Republicans, a majority of Republicans support gay marriage. That's, that was legalized, I guess, since 2012. But are you against that? Like, I don't know. What is he trying to argue here? So that you can't claim that's super far left, because that's just human rights, just basic understanding of, recognizing and allowing people to be who they are. Another issue here, legalizing marijuana. Again, we've seen gradual increases in support of this. Of course, this is the right thing to do. Elon Musk famously smoked weed with Joe Rogan on his podcast, so we have to imagine he supports legalizing marijuana. Well, right now, only Democratic voters and independents are in support of legalizing marijuana in a majority, 83% and 72%. Republicans have actually gone down. Now, 48% of them support legalizing marijuana, meaning a majority of them don't support it. Showing you, Republicans have moved further right. Democrats have gradually increased their support of a very basic social policy. But again, are you disagreeing with this? Of course he's not. He's on board with this. But he still thinks he's on the right. Another issue. Majority of Americans favor wealth tax on the very rich. Well, I think we know where Elon Musk is on this issue. He's not in support of this. But a majority of Americans, not the far left, a majority of Americans support a wealth tax. Well, here's what he actually meant. So he tweeted afterwards saying, I strongly supported Obama for president, but today's Democratic Party has been hijacked by extremists. Oh, of course. Because the party is now led by Joe Biden, Obama's vice president. The House is led by Nancy Pelosi, the same person who led the House when Obama was president. Then you got, Steny Hoyer also was in leadership, still in leadership. Oh, I know what's changed. Chuck Schumer, extreme leftist Chuck Schumer, now heading the Senate. I guess that's what he's talking about. Because what else could he possibly be talking about? I mean, this reaction here breaks it down very clearly. Zach Bornstein here saying a helpful graphic I made for no one in particular. Democrats, 2008, 2021, Joe Biden. Republicans, John McCain, a moderate in terms of the Washington spectrum, a moderate Republican. Now hang Mike Pence. So who has really moved? And this isn't just, memes dictating this or showcasing this, but actual data. Pew Research, Republicans have moved further to the right than Democrats have moved to the left. So this is from 1971 down to 2022. Democrats barely moved more liberal. Meanwhile, you have Republicans moving much further to the right, and that's in the Senate and the House. Very similar result here. Democrats barely moving to the left. Republicans moving further and further to the right. And I think there's another graph on this. Indeed, here's overall. On average, Congress has become more conservative over the past 5 decades. So again, from 71 to 2022, you see here the move towards the right. And that includes both parties have moved further right based on clearly what they're fighting for and or not getting accomplished. So you have there's many studies on this. Here's another one. This one's out of Sweden. Republicans closely resemble autocratic parties in Hungary and Turkey. And this is one of their data points here showing how in terms of level of party commitment to democracy, Democrats have remained fairly the same. And I would say almost to their detriment. They barely fight Republicans at all. Meanwhile, the GOP have gone much lower and have backslid towards authoritarianism. And again, this is a Swedish study, not some, partisan hacks here. People out of Sweden showing this. Also, another indication of how off base Elon Musk is. Richard Nixon is the one that ushered in the EPA. If a Republican tried to do this today, they would be laughed out of the room. In fact, this is too far left for a Democrat. Democrats would be afraid to do this. They're doing barely anything, if anything at all, on the climate crisis. Richard Nixon brought in the EPA. But no, Democrats have moved extreme left. And Warren Gunnels here, fantastic little breakdown showing in 2000, this is the actual differences between these years. 2008, Elon Musk, I ran out of cash. Wall Street bailout up to $29 trillion. Minimum wage, $6.55. 2015, Musk's growing empire fueled by $4.9 billion in government subsidies. A reminder that Musk's wealth that has been created for himself is not just because of his own hard work. It's because of his ununionized employees and, of course, the money he takes from government contracts. In 15, his net worth was $13.2 billion, minimum wage $7.25. 2022, Musk's net worth now $253 billion, minimum wage the same, $7.25. But somehow society has moved so far left that a billionaire added more than $200 billion to his net worth. And I have to share this as well, because this came out of this. The Surfs shared this. It is sad and funny. Elon Musk stole this from someone else and did not credit them. And this guy is still kissing Elon Musk's ass, which is so depressing. Colin Wright here saying, thank you for sharing my cartoon, Elon Musk. You can buy the mug? Is that what it says? The mug in my store? Oh, God, this is on a mug. This is Colin made this up. Unfortunately, Elon Musk didn't credit me as the creator of the cartoon. But if you would like to buy a unique piece of internet history, you can now bid for it as my first NFT. Oh, so thrilled that Elon Musk shared my political cartoon. Unfortunately, same thing. And then he says here, people are for some bizarre reason really upset that I am trying to take credit for my original art recently shared by Elon Musk and even gasp trying to make money selling it. So this guy has every right to try and sell this as an NFT. I think NFT images are stupid, but whatever. If he can sell it, make some money, go right ahead. But people are actually attacking this guy for mentioning that Elon Musk didn't give him credit. There are some crazy fanboys on Twitter for Elon Musk. It makes absolutely no sense. But to get back to, the main issue here, the claim that somehow the left has moved so extreme left. What has happened on mass incarceration? In fact, Biden has called for more police funding. Where's the move left here? Or like the continued gap between the growing gap between the rich and the poor. I showed you that with how much money Elon Musk has made. Rolling back in voting rights, Democrats not getting anything done on that either. Meanwhile, the right is trying to ban abortion, banning books on race and LGBTQ issues. Their anti-climate science stances. They also incited a riot on the Capitol. I mean, all of these things. Not to mention, if you want to just say, oh, well, it's not Biden, but it's people like AOC. So asking for crazy far left things like expanding healthcare to Medicare for all, a single payer system that every other country has, some kind of universal system. Canada has a single payer system. Healthcare for all, super far left extreme. Increasing wages. I showed you how they just stayed the same. Maybe people need to make a little more money. Maybe as a billionaire increases wealth by $200 billion, it's not too much to ask that people at the bottom can make a little more. Canceling student loan debt, which would actually help the economy. Putting money back into society. Freeing people up to start a family, maybe buy a home. But no, somehow all of this is too far left. Yet none of it's gotten done. And the actual Democratic Party has moved to the right. But this is the brain on this man. Okay. This is why I have this shot. Okay, let me grab some of these chats. Thank you so much for sending the super chats, and then I'll get to the next story, which is Mr. Cawthorn. Where's my chat thing? Here it is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that technology. All right, let me grab some of the super chats. Car Wash Freak says, I don't think Biden will forgive student debt, especially with his low approval rating and Republicans that is extremist. Trump won the Republicans. I'm not sure if I understand the last part of your sentence, but I don't think he's going to forgive all student debt. He has been saying, though, apparently behind the scenes and now publicly, that something will be done on student debt. So maybe he'll do something, but no audio and fire chat. What does that mean? But maybe, I don't know. The thing with Biden is it's impossible to know. He'll do something like pull out of Afghanistan, which was that was Trump's initial plan, but he pulled it off despite all the media being against him. He'll do that, but then he won't do canceling student debt or even trying to fight for Build Back Better. So he can be a hard guy to read. Ultimately, of course, I err on the side of caution with him that he won't do anything because he doesn't do much at all. But considering this is a public conversation now, I happen to think that he's at least aware that he is doing terribly with young people, doing terribly with black voters, and that he needs to do something to help those voting blocks, and canceling student debt would go a long way to doing that. Bargain Baron says, glad to finally catch a live David. Oh, thank you for being here. Law Gnome says, here's some money to bribe you to do live streams and or other coverage of the primaries coming up. Ohio is May 3rd, Nina Turner and Morgan Harper. And I'm sure there are some other big ones. I prefer to cover those after the fact. Just to sit here while we're waiting for results to come in can be boring, especially me as one person. But, when it comes to like bigger elections, then yeah, like in terms of like multiple elections in the same night, like an election day, like in November, midterms. Maybe I'll do a live stream then. Rain says, I would love to see you go on Tim Pool's show. I think it would be a bloodbath. I have no interest in going on Tim Pool's show. Father Ted says, maybe Cartoon Guy should ask Elon Musk to pay to PayPal. Sorry, I'll show myself out. That is funny. All right. I got to prep this next one. Here, I'll grab some chats on screen. These are going fast, though. Let me go on my chat here. John Fetterman's coming up as well. Yep. Mrs. Jones says May 17th. And he is dominating right now, from what I'm hearing. Connor Lamb apparently does not have a shot. So that'd be great. Dark Canuck says, any thoughts on the biker rally in Ontario? I literally just learned about that today. I've been in and out of the news cycle, missing a lot. So, you know, I'm not always aware of what's going on. But I had to read like 3 articles to figure out what this was even about. Like they apparently want to lay some flowers at some monument. Like that's what I got from one of the articles. But I know part of this movement or rally is being led by another white nationalist. So it's just it just sounds like, you know, Trucker Convoy 2.0, but maybe on a smaller scale. And then I saw an image from it, and it's a bunch of like pickup trucks. Like I didn't see a single biker in the image. So again, going to how this is just Convoy 2.0 that was full of pickup trucks and not all that many actual transports. Slavov says, if he cancels any amount of student debt, it would be after elections in order to not offend their Republican base. See, I disagree. He would have to, he has to do it by August 31st. August 31st is when the deadline for the pause on student loan payments ends, unless he extends that again, which I don't see him doing that again. I think he will cancel some student debt before that pause ends. And also to help with the midterms. I mean, it's not, look, if a Republican is going to, switch their vote? Like, what is the thinking here? Like, what is the argument against canceling student debt? That people that were going to vote for Democrats are now not going to vote for Democrats because they helped millions of people? Like, there is no argument against this. It will help. It will only help them. The media may come out and say, oh, it's going to cause inflation and do all this garbage. But on the ground, it's going to help actual people. When they see, hey, I don't have to pay back some of this debt, that's going to benefit their lives. There is no downside to doing that in terms of the politics of it. There's no downside at all, which also surprised me as to why Republicans are even trying to make a public thing of this and try and stop Biden, because I don't see how it helps them. I mean, their voters are going to vote for them regardless. Like, so I don't know who this is swaying. The only thing it will do ultimately is maybe bring some more people out to vote for Democrats. It's not going to hurt them, and it's not going to, you know, energize Republican voters either. They're going to come out regardless. All right. I got to prep this Cawthorn crap. And to do that, I will be right back. All right. I'm back. All right, so I got Cawthorn, and then I have Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro has an update. We'll do Benny Shapiro and some other stuff, maybe. We'll see. All right, Cawthorn. How do I intro Cawthorn? I wrote no intros today. Actually, no, I did for this one. But, maybe I'll do my own intro. One on the fly. Republican Madison Cawthorn has officially come out as gay, is what Republicans want you to think, but that's not actually true. So there is a lot of trash that has been thrown out there about Madison Cawthorn since he came out publicly to claim that he was invited to an orgy in Washington, and also has personally seen leaders in the efforts to curb drug addiction doing cocaine. So that was about a month ago. Since then, oh my, oh my, a lot has happened. So many things happen to be leaked all of a sudden of Madison Cawthorn. This from Politico. Exclusive Madison Cawthorn photos reveal him wearing women's lingerie in public setting. I like, why does that part matter? Okay, whatever. But here he is. Look at him. Look at this. Oh my God. A young man having a good time. Can't have that. Can't have that in the U.S. Congress. So look, clearly I have no issue. Madison Cawthorn is a bad lawmaker because of the crap he supports, not because of this. Who cares? I don't care. But this also came out. This is bad. Not just, this is bad. North Carolina Republican Senator Tom Tillis calls for an ethics investigation into home state Representative Madison Cawthorn over claims he was involved in a cryptocurrency insider trading scheme. So this is a legitimate complaint, story around Madison Cawthorn that has come out since his claims about the orgy and cocaine. So good. If they want to go after each other over this stuff, go right ahead. There is a lot of this going on in Washington in terms of insider trading. I mean, I've covered, my goodness, other stories about this, about Pelosi, other Democrats, other Republicans, and the amount of money they have made on the stock market from obviously their insider knowledge, because a lot of people follow them for advice on, where to put their money. But that's just another example of the kind of disgusting corruption going on in Washington. But now we got this one. Breaking. New leaked video shows GOP Madison Cawthorn caught on video with male scheduler's hand on his crotch. My God. All right, let's play this and discuss.
Be filled with passion and desire. Would like to see your naked body beneath my hands.
Me too. Yeah. I'd like to see that as well. Yeah.
Oh my God. Two guys having fun. Can't have that. So this has also led into this. There are Venmo messages between Cawthorn and the scheduler obtained by American Muckrackers PAC. One payment made by Cawthorn to Smith dated 6/17/18 reads, "Getting naked for me in Sweden." Wow, joke messages during in Venmos. Unheard of. We talk more about the GOP civil war on our podcast. All right. So here's Stephen Smith saying to Madison Cawthorn, "For loving me daily and nightly." Madison Cawthorn, "The quickie at the airport." "The stuff we did in Amsterdam." "Getting naked for me in Sweden." All right, these are obviously jokes. Even if they weren't, who cares? I don't care. I guess you could point out his hypocrisy when it comes to, his positions on LGBTQ issues. But apart from that, there is no scandal here for Republican voters. But they're trying to turn him into this, I don't know, I guess pro-gay rights or something. I'm not even sure what the angle is here. But they're clearly trying to tarnish his image with things like this. And I think there's another piece to this. The video is one of several exhibits filed in support of an ethics complaint, which calls for an investigation into Cawthorn. Among the many allegations is the claim that Cawthorn provided thousands of dollars in loans and gifts to Smith. Look at that. All right. So Cawthorn has reacted to this. Many of my colleagues would be nowhere near politics if they had grown up with a cell phone in their hands. This is true. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I'm defending Cawthorn here. This is a horrible individual, should not be in Congress, but it's obvious why they are going after him. This must be true. Like this must be true. They are not going after Marjorie Taylor Greene after all the garbage she has spewed, very similar garbage to Cawthorn's garbage. They're very similar in their politics. The only difference is Cawthorn discussed openly about being invited to an orgy by a Republican and seeing Republicans do coke. Marjorie Greene has not discussed that. That's the only real difference here. So you see what they do to you when you come out with a little of that insider information. But Cawthorn pointing out, this is just fact. We have to understand going forward when it comes to politics and people wanting to get, involved in the process and becoming politicians. This is going to be the norm. We're going to see videos like, if this is the worst they have on Cawthorn, that's pretty good. If this is really the worst they have, then they can't have all that much. This is the worst they have, ultimately, is him doing this insider trading. But again, they all do this. So it's weird to just call out him and not the entire system. But he has come out with an ad since then to combat all of this smearing.
Career politicians sell out for money. They sell out for power. And they sell out just so the media won't attack them. I have never folded in Washington, and the swamp hates me for it. Right now, rhinos are spending millions of dollars in North Carolina to defeat me. They want someone who will make backroom deals to sell out our values, and someone who will abandon American first principles. I've never folded in Washington, and I never will. I'm Madison Cawthorn, and I approve this message. Because Western North Carolina doesn't need a sellout. We need a fighter.
Look, that's an effective ad. Discussing how, he understands the feeling that a lot of voters have, that politicians are liars, that they're sellouts, that they work on behalf of their moneyed interests. Now, Cawthorn's there to work on behalf of his own interests, but in terms of just a political ad, this is a good ad in terms of showcasing how the system is trying to push him out because he has been openly discussing what is going on behind, some closed doors. So I don't care if he loses the seat. I don't care if someone else takes over. It doesn't matter at all. But it's just comical to see what triggers Republicans to attack their own. Not any garbage about being anti-human rights, anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-choice, not doing anything in terms of actually helping to expand healthcare or increase wages. And all of that is fine. That's what you should be doing as a Republican member, is doing absolutely nothing to help people while pointing to, all the boogeymen in terms of scaring voters into supporting you. That's what they do. That's fine. But when you cross the line and discuss what is going on behind the scenes, that for them is a bridge too far, and it's obvious by what they've been trying to do to Madison Cawthorn. Okie dokie. There we go. We got a Ben Shapiro video coming up. That's going to be fun. First, let's do chats. Matt Gattaca says, new study shows Medicare for All would save $450 billion annually while preventing 68,000 deaths. I have not seen that study, but I'm sure it's accurate. Many studies have. The thing is, at this point, all these studies on Medicare for All, it feels like studies on marijuana. We've been seeing the data for decades. We don't need any more data. We just need action. But it takes, a majority of fighters in Washington to be able to implement any of that action. All right, some more random chats before I get going to Mr. Shapiro. Kyle says, what do you think of the NDP's new platform for 2022? I have not gone through it, so I have no idea. I've been kind of out of, at least past couple months, out of what the hell's going on in my own country for whatever reason. I've just been incredibly busy. But there is an election coming up in Ontario, so I should probably get back to informing myself. It's just been super depressing, though. Like, seeing polling come out where, like, Doug Ford is still leading, even on issues of, like, long-term care. like the one thing not one thing, but the obvious thing that he clearly screwed up. It's very depressing looking at polls. So, I don't know. I think that's what has kind of made me kind of disengage a bit. But John Steinheimer, thank you for your super chat. Player 2 says, are you going back on Twitch at some point so I can give you free Bezos bucks? I'm not even an affiliate on there right now. They took away my partnership and affiliation for nothing. They claimed I was streaming in other places, and I was not. And there's no one human there that I can talk to, apparently. So, I don't know. I'd rather you PayPal me or join on Twitter, join on YouTube or become a patron. All right. Let me get to Mr. Shapiro. First, I want to see what sound bites I saved because I forget sometimes.
This is truly mental illness.
I literally did not hear that. So, whatever you heard, is what it is. This shit annoys me. God. Okay. Sorry, this is just inside stuff. But like, I have the soundboard, and sometimes I can hear the sound bites, sometimes I can't. I don't know if the issue is the soundboard or the computer. It's just very frustrating. But whatever. All right, one more super chat, then I'll prep this Shapiro stuff. Or two more chats. Patrick says the student loans currently on hold are all federal aid/loans. Do you think Biden will cancel only federal loans? I don't know. Good question. I think Biden will do as little as possible that he thinks will still net him some positive reaction. So, like when he said he'll cancel $10,000 for every student, I'm not sure if he meant just federal loans or... And in terms of his authority, I'd have to go back and I covered this in a video, but I forget the details of that. I think he has the authority to just cancel all student debt, regardless. But I don't know. Rarded says, hey, David, I came across your show only a few weeks ago, and I'm really impressed. Great information, and I appreciate your thoughts on current stuff. Wow. Thank you. All right. Be right back with... Mr. Shapiro. There we go. Nice, smooth transition. Right. All right, Shapiro, and then more chatting. And I saved some other stories, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna make like a video out of them. But I'll bring them up. Okay. Lost my place. Here we go. Actually, before I do anything, I want to check the audio on this.
So you got Amber Phillip.
Oh, Jesus. You always gotta, when it's Shapiro's voice, you gotta turn down the volume, regardless.
Staff writer over at the Washington Post.
Okay, that's better. All right. I'll talk like him now. Ben Shapiro has come out with one. I'm drinking beer, and that's really ruining my ability to speak, apparently. All right. Conservative propagandist Ben Shapiro has come out with his dumbest claim yet. Let's check it out.
So you got Amber Phillips, staff writer over at the Washington Post. How Florida Governor Ron DeSantis wages his culture wars. Perhaps no politician has been as effective at waging today's culture wars as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He didn't initiate the culture war. You guys did. Who initiates the culture war matters. If you punch me and then I punch you back, I didn't initiate the fight. You initiated the fight. And if I finish the fight, good for me. But again, the left has to portray the Republicans as the aggressors here. There's not a single social issue in America where Republicans are the aggressor over the course of the last 30 years. Not one. This country has been moving progressively to the left on social issues for decades on end. You cannot name a social issue on which the American governmental structure has moved to the right. It does not exist. It doesn't. I challenge anybody on the left to bring me one issue where the governmental structure of the United States, the legislative structure of the United States, has moved to the right over the course of the last 30 years. The only case you can make is in some states on abortion, and that's only because there was an artificial quash on abortion law put in place in 1973 by the Supreme Court in Roe. Every other issue, literally all of them, we have moved to the left, every single one. But the idea is that if Ron DeSantis says no, this means that he is the aggressor now. Or maybe you guys are the aggressor.
Social progress does not equate to aggression. No one is forcing you to get gay married. No one is forcing you to be trans. But Republicans, as the aggressor, have tried to stop allowing people who want to get married to the same sex. They have tried to stop them. They are trying to stop trans people from even existing, accessing healthcare at all. That is aggressive. Allowing people to be who they are, acknowledging the human rights of others, is not aggression. This is one of the stupidest things, one of the dumbest arguments Shapiro has ever tried to make, because he is completely wrong. And when it comes to actual legislation, Jason Campbell points out here, these are recent headlines, just recent ones. Alabama lawmakers advance transgender students' bathroom ban, an aggressive move. Trump will ban transgender people from U.S. military, another aggressive policy move. More Republican leaders try to ban books on race, LGBTQ issues, another aggressive move, anti-speech, anti-free speech move. Another one, Oklahoma lawmakers pass six-week abortion ban modeled after Texas law that allows civil enforcement. So again, yeah, it's obvious who the aggressors are. Recognizing that trans people exist, that they should be able to access the healthcare that they need, is not an aggressive move. Allowing people who want to marry the same sex, allowing them to do that, is not an aggressive move. Aggressive is trying to stop people from being who they are. What a total piece of shit. That part I'll have to cut out. An incredible piece of shit. All right. Checking some chats. Father Ted says, give us your best lightning impression, please. What does that mean? My best lightning impression? I don't know what that means. Do you mean just my best impressions in general? I can't do impressions on the spot. I can just imitate people. But it has to be in the moment, Dr. Dragon says, hey, David, it's the same person who said I made an animation for you. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding half the sentence. Break I have done a month back, but didn't see it. My Twitter is... Okay, I'll check your Twitter after. I don't really understand the text. All right, let me grab some other chats here. I mean, other stories here. I wanted to share this because I thought this was... This was great. Let's just enjoy this moment. This is a Canadian debate. What year is this? I think this is 2011. I'm not certain, but let's watch this. This is back when famously there was a time I was not covering politics or even really all that into it until I started to get more into it with Bernie and then running as a Green Party candidate. But this is back when Jack Layton ran the NDP and Stephen Harper, you see here, former Prime Minister, Conservative. Watch this amazing debate moment between Layton and the Liberal leader, Michael Ignatieff.
I have to pick up on something Mr. Ignatieff said. He said before you have to walk the walk and you have to be a strong leader and respect Parliament. I've got to ask you then, why do you have the worst attendance record in the House of Commons of any member of Parliament? If you want to be Prime Minister, you better learn how to be a member of Parliament first. Most Canadians, if they don't show up for work, they don't get a promotion.
Mr. Layton, I don't surrender to anybody in my respect for the institution of Parliament and my obligation to the people who put me there. So don't give me lessons about respect for democracy.
Well,
don't give me lessons.
Where
don't
were
give
you
me
when
lessons
I was
for
there
respect
standing up to
about our
Mr. Harper and voting against his policies, and you weren't in the chamber? You missed 70% of the votes. I think you need to understand a little bit more about how our democracy works. That's my only point.
But Mr. Layton, if I
hang on, I have to pick up.
That was so fantastic. Jack Layton, in case you're not Canadian and don't know, died of cancer. An incredible leader, the one guy that we should have had as Prime Minister who never became Prime Minister, but just a fantastic, and like the way he's able to calmly just completely dismantle the Liberal leader there is just wonderful. And these are the sorts of moments we don't really see all that much anymore. I have my, Jagmeet Singh isn't the worst leader. I've given him credit when it's due, but I don't think he's a Jack Layton. But anyways, what else? Back to chat. I do have a couple more things I want to bring up, but largely let's just chat. Tofu says, I'm a big fan of yours. Do you think our individual consumer choices, especially food choices, can affect and combat the climate crisis? Also, are you vegan? I am pescatarian, so I stopped eating meat, even though almost every day I think about chicken, fried chicken especially, chicken wings. I miss chicken wings, but I have cut out chicken. Individual choices can definitely do something if collectively we all do them. But that's the hard thing, right? Is how you can't make people do things they don't want to do. So it's really about policy. It's really about legislation, what can actually get done. I think that is number one, ultimately, in terms of, since we're discussing, the climate crisis here, fossil fuels. At the very least, maybe they shouldn't be subsidized. I mean, the very least. So that should be the focus, is the fossil fuel industry. as opposed to personal choices. That said, I think it's fine to bring up, to encourage those kinds of things. I think it's fine to encourage people to not eat meat, especially beef is actually the worst offender there, and pork. And maybe that's just my pro-chicken bias, but but pork and beef are the worst ones in terms of the impact on the climate. But yeah, there's only so much you can do, right? Like, just it's fine to encourage it, but I say never make people feel shitty for not doing what they could be doing, because that's never going to actually accomplish anything. It's never going to move them in the right direction. That's why, honestly, I barely talk about, not eating meat, because if someone's going to come to that conclusion, they're going to come to that on their own. And I'm also not the person, I think, I'm not informed enough to be pushing that message out there, to be in the forefront of that. That's why there's, documentaries or people that are in the health profession that are the ones that are discussing the health benefits of not eating meat, in addition to, of course, the benefit to, society and in terms of addressing the climate crisis. But there's other outlets for that, right? So those documentaries exist. I think that kind of stuff, that information does help to move people. That's what helped to move me. So that's all you can hope for, is put the message out there, and whoever is going to take to it takes to it. Whoever doesn't. Ultimately, the focus, I think, should be from a policy perspective, in pushing legislation and trying to limit fossil fuels. Dragon comes back with saying, okay, sorry, David, for my writing. What I was trying to say a month ago in March, I made an animation for you. Break my Twitter. For your break. My Twitter is... Okay. Oh, yeah. I vaguely remember that. All right, I'll check out your Twitter. Rhino Wiki says, recent joint research in nature.com have found how to make superconductor material for compact electronic devices. It's big news and worth a Google. Okay, I don't know anything about this industry or this field, so I'll have to look into it. But thanks for passing that along. All right, some stories that I did not get to this week, but I find interesting. Let's discuss this one. Biden's harsh dismissal of Kamala Harris during negotiations left GOP senators taken aback. So apparently, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do not have a good relationship. They've only had lunch, I think, a couple of times this year. And that matters because Biden initially said that one of the things that enabled him to get closer to Barack Obama is that they had lunch every day, and that he was planning to do the same thing with Kamala Harris, while they have not been doing that. And you could say maybe COVID-19 is part of that. I think her husband had COVID. I think then Kamala Harris got COVID. So maybe that's, part of the reason. But that happened, more recently, and they weren't even having lunch really before that. But apart from that, apparently there was one more public example of this, or I should say what the headline there is discussing. So this is what really apparently led people to believe that there are some issues going on behind the scenes. So Biden and Harris were meeting with senators last May in an effort to get the $1 trillion infrastructure bill through the chamber, when Harris reportedly thought that there was something missing from the conversation. The book explains that she began to make the case for a larger package than the one Republicans seemed to have in mind, which included adding some more Democratic priorities like family and social spending. Biden dismissed her comment immediately, the authors explain, noting that even the Republican senators were taken aback by his harsh tone. Biden, one of the longest-serving senators in U.S. history, had taken the lead on congressional negotiations early in his term. So apparently also, Jill Biden was wary of putting Harris on the ticket due to her blistering attacks during the primary. Remember that first debate? And they also the book also quotes Larry Hogan, who recounted an early meeting between some governors and Biden and Harris, in which Hogan called Harris's role in meetings very strange. Harris did not say a word, Hogan told the authors. noting he was unsure if Harris was just being deferential to the president, didn't want to step on him, or there was some other dynamic at play. So some of Harris's advisors believed the president's almost entirely white inner circle did not show the vice president the respect she deserved. All right. Harris worried that Biden's staff looked down on her. She fixated on real and perceived snubs in ways the West Wing found tedious. There's more examples. The authors explained that Harris's aides were unhappy she was given the southern border as a policy assignment, and that they pushed instead for her to be made the liaison to the Nordic countries, a much more cushy assignment. So a lot of this really isn't at all surprising. I mean, of course they were unhappy that she was given the border. Like that's that's a no-win situation for any politician at this point. But it's no win because they aren't doing the right thing. If they were doing the right thing, not implementing Trump's policies, they'd be a lot different. But even then, they would get shit from media. But so in terms of this, the actual implications of this, it's really impossible to know, especially if Biden now appears to be deciding to run again. Didn't he initially say, I'm going to look this up right now. Didn't he initially say when he was running that he would not run for a second term? Or is that just like something leaked that he was saying behind the scenes? Okay, so here we go. This is 2019. Biden signals to aides that he would serve only a single term. Advisors weigh the merits of a one-term pledge. Okay. So he was apparently behind the scenes at the time, saying that he will only run for, or only do the single term. Well, I'm not sure if you saw recently, but he came out, or the story came out that he told Obama behind the scenes that he will run for a second term. And if you remember when I was discussing, if you watched me back during the election, I was saying how if Biden's going to only do the one term, what's going to end up happening is he's going to wait till the last minute before he decides publicly that it's just a one-term thing, which is ultimately would hurt Harris, who would be the assumed nominee, even though she absolutely should be challenged. And I think she will be challenged if Biden doesn't run again. But that was the idea back then, that he would wait till the last minute and end up screwing her if he did that, screwing her chances. But he's now saying he's going to run again, at least privately. So I don't know. That's, seeing this kind of thing, it does feel like Harris has sort of been invisible, at least compared to, say, Obama and Biden, because Pence was definitely, I would say, even more so invisible during Trump's presidency. For obvious reasons, he didn't want Trump's garbage to be pushed onto him and him have to answer for it. So he was in hiding, for most of the term. But Harris, in terms of this, it seems like it's less her choice and more Biden's choice, that she's taken kind of this incredible backseat to what's been going on. But I don't know. I just found that story slightly interesting in terms of the dynamics there behind the scenes. Another story that I will bring up now is this. Over the past year, Joe Manchin has seen the largest job approval rating improvement of any senator. He's now in the top 10 most popular senators. This shows you that Manchin politically knew what he was doing. And this is not because he has increased Democrat support. No, of course not. It's because Republicans are now more approving of him for screwing the Democratic Party agenda. All Manchin cares about is himself. Look at this 16-point increase during Biden's presidency. All because he screwed Joe Biden, or screwed the Democratic Party. But you see here, Republicans drive up Manchin's popularity in West Virginia. And that is clear. So because Republicans are there's so many of them in West Virginia, they are swaying this clearly. So it is now at 57% support for all voters. Democrats have dropped to 44%, still way too high. But it is West Virginia, so it's really hard to read those people. Like, they backed Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton in 2016. You could say that was more of an anti-Clinton vote, which looking at this, it probably was. But and then, you know, they're supporting Manchin here. There's still almost half of them supporting Manchin, even though it's gone down. It's still almost half of them supporting Manchin, even though he completely screwed the entire agenda. That would help them. It would help them, their agenda. But this is what it is. Independents have also increased their support. So independents there also lead more conservative. And you see here, Republicans, of course, from 35% to 69% now approve of Manchin. Amazing. Now looking at the list, tied for first, Bernie Sanders, of course, while his disapproval is higher than the first two here, largely because, of course, Bernie's more high profile. The conservatives in his state are going to be more vocal about hating him. So that's why, you know, the don't know/no opinion is only 4%. But still, quite the list here. It's like, this is still... The highest is 62. It's still pretty bad. It's amazing how much these politicians are hated. But there you go. Manchin right there at 57. Between Angus King and John Hoeven. Wow. All right. Now, I got one last story for getting off. Before chatting a little more. And that story is a Laura Ingraham story. But before I do that, let me grab some random chats. Biden endorsed Chantel Brown. Not really surprising. I assume he's going to endorse all incumbents. Like, he's not going to. I'm not sure a sitting Democratic president has ever endorsed a challenger to an incumbent. At least in recent memory. Typical Canadian says Lance from the Surfs mentioned wanting to do something to help promote Nina and mentioned your name in passing, that he should get a hold you to help you do that. Sure. This is the issue, though. There's only so much we can do, right? Like, we're talking about a congressional race. So unless you live in her district, like, who are we talking to? This isn't like a Senate race. This isn't for president. We have to hope there's enough people that are swingable in her district who aren't already voting for her that are somehow coming across videos from me or the Surfs or anybody else. That when it comes to this is why I largely use my platform to try and educate people on just what is going on, basic issues, dispelling a lot of the bullshit around what people are saying, whether it's the right or it's, Democratic establishment, because those are universal messages, universal education on what is happening. I'll cover a victory if it happens, because especially like if Nina wins, that's of course a massive victory, because that impact will be felt not just in her district but everywhere in the country. So a victory there is national news. But how much sway do we really have before an election in a congressional race, in a primary? Like, I'm just being realistic here. I don't know how much we actually have. So it's like, I'll cover when they announce, because these are important individuals and it's important to mention, you know, who's running and who you should look out for. But in terms of the actual impact on the race, I can't imagine we impact the race all that much, if at all. Like, again, who in her district that watches us or would come across our video somehow isn't already voting for her? Do you know? Because I think that number is close to zero, if not zero. But, you know, I guess the hope is that a random video will be seen by somebody in that district and shared among people that live there. I don't know. But I don't know. We're going to have to see. Donald James says, yes, David endorsed Nina for whatever it's worth. Oh, I endorse Nina as a person, as a human being. Whatever she does, I endorse. I'm always a huge Nina Turner supporter. So yeah, I've already endorsed her, I guess. But I'm just saying, in terms of our coverage of the race, I'm not sure how much impact that actually has. All right, I'm scrolling through these chats, scrolling up. Max Gattaca says, with all the dirt revealed for Trump, will he run for 2024? Think of all the dirt released on him in 2016. Of course. Nothing will stop. As long as he can legally... Actually, scratch that. Even if he can't legally win, he will try to run and win. Even if he's like... He'll try to run from jail. Like, if he was thrown in jail, if magic happened, and somehow, finally, people in positions of power actually did their job and found out that, yes, in fact, this criminal is really a criminal and he belongs in jail. If that happened, if the best case scenario happened, he would still try to run for president from jail, and would probably win. At least the primary. So it's just nothing. If he decides he wants to run, he will run. Nothing will stop him from trying to do so. I agree. Hit that like button, folks. And you may notice today that only subscribers can chat. I figured telling you to subscribe is not really accomplishing anything, but making you subscribe to chat does accomplish something. So thank you to all the subscribers in the chat for subscribing if you weren't already subbed. What's going on? What are with these? What is this? Father Ted says, what about your best impression of a watermelon landing on an unsuspecting hamster? Bet you can't do that one. What? No, I definitely can't. I cannot do that impression. I'm not even sure what that impression would be. I'm lost. Black Hawk says, I bet $50 Jimmy Dore will make an anti-Nina Turner. I don't know what that word's supposed to be. Before the primary? Oh, you mean like a video? Anti-Nina video before the primary? Anyone want to take any bets? He liked a tweet showing Nina and then a swastika. So he's out of his fucking mind. So he may make a video. It doesn't really matter. His voters or his viewers are all at this point conservative anyways. So whatever. But he's a weird person. Radzoso says, to those considering becoming a patron or YouTube member, Patreon is better for the creator. That is true. Patreon is better for the creator. We get a larger cut from Patreon. YouTube takes, I forget how much, I think 30%. Patreon's better, so yes, support me. If you want to choose between the two, Patreon is better. But if YouTube is more convenient for you, that's fine. I'm not going to complain. Any support is welcomed. Hi from Nova Scotia. Hey, what's up? I love Nova Scotia. I was there once. Very, very nice. 2 people here from Nova Scotia. David needs diapers, folks. First I was like, for me? Like, what are you talking about? I need diapers? But, oh yes, of course, my son. Yes, he does need diapers. So the more support, the better. I actually do think I need to buy more diapers. I think we are running low. So I will use some of this super chat money today to go buy some diapers. Oh yeah, people mentioning opt-out in the chat. Go download the opt-out app. I think it's still only on Apple right now, but I know they are working on an Android version. But check the Android store as well. I've never owned an Android, so I'm not sure how all that shit works. But check there as well to see if there's an app for opt-out. But it is I did a video. I had Alex Koch on, who is the co-founder of opt-out. It's an app that brings in all independent media, all the non-shitty ones into a single app. And there's a lot there from, of course, YouTube like mine, but also fantastic outlets like, I think they're like all on there basically. American Prospect, Daily Poster, I think Jacobin, I'm sure is on there. So check it out. It's a fantastic app. And it's, it can be hard to find trustworthy, solid, independent media all in the same place, especially because a lot of it's disjointed. It's hard to find us on YouTube sometimes, hard to find us, through a Google search. But if you have the opt-out app, then it's simple and it is free. So easy peasy. Here is another chat. Koru says, what the hell? Member for 2 years, 8 months, 15 days. There was a glitch in the Matrix. Hi, David and the Rational National. Hey, what up, Koru? Thank you for being a member for so very long. It says member for 33 months. Wow. I did not even know that YouTube had a membership that long. All right. Lots more chats. You know what? Let me just quickly do this Laura Ingraham thing. Actually, just two more quick things. This and then Ingraham. So I just saw this. I just made note of this. Billionaires and Wall Streeters are now pouring record money into the Senate race in Pennsylvania, backing Dem Connor Lamb and GOP's Dave McCormick. And there's overlap. One side of the Hess Corporation is funding Lamb. Hess's CEO is funding McCormick $250,000 each. So basically, right now, people with power and money are incredibly scared of John Fetterman because he has cross-populist appeal, because he is leading in the primary for Democrats and could absolutely win this race, especially if it ends up Fetterman versus Oz. You got a guy who is not even liked by his own party, Dr. Oz, versus this guy who has cross appeal. Some good stuff. So it shows you, and this really indicates to me, I mean, this proves to you who is on your side. When you see the money pouring in, Wall Street money pouring in for everybody else, because they're freaking out, that is the biggest indication that Fetterman's the real deal. Now, yes, I saw a story recently, I think it was like last week. He said some things about mandates that I don't agree with, but taken as a whole, I mean, the choice here is clear. So I'm looking forward to watching this race more closely as we get closer to it. I think it's middle of May or something, this one. I'll check later. But yeah, last I checked, Connor Lamb is not doing very well there. So should be a fantastic victory for Fetterman. And to see him go up against maybe Mr. Oz would be a very entertaining and worthwhile race to watch. All right, last thing on Ingraham. This isn't really like, I keep like hyping this story up. This is not worth hyping up. I just wanted to talk about this briefly. But this was funny to me. So, Laura Ingraham tweeted this out, saying, "My mom worked as a waitress until she was 73 to help pay for our college, and even helped with loan repayment. Loan forgiveness, just another insult to those who play by the rules." Ah, yes. Just like when there's new treatments for illnesses, for cancer, throw that out the window. Forget about it, because everyone else before you, they died of cancer. They died of your illness. So why should we help you when others have already suffered? I will say Humanist Report made that point on Twitter, and it was spot on. Like, this idea that we shouldn't improve society at all because the ones before you had to suffer in the existing society is so incredibly stupid. But of course, this is conservatism. Change nothing. As long as the power and the wealthy remain in power and remain wealthy, everything is fine to them. Change nothing at all. Why improve society one bit? And the reactions to this are great. So Julie Ioffe here tweeting out, "I played by the rules, and the rules," actually, whatever, I don't care about her. But basically she says, "I paid my student loans and I agree to support student loan forgiveness." Someone else here says, this is a reverend Christian minister here, "Debt forgiveness is biblical." Interesting. "At the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor shall shall release what he has lent to his neighbor. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, his brother, because the Lord's release has been proclaimed." I didn't even know about this. Here's a new line. If you have a conservative in your life, or I should say a Christian conservative in your life, who is against canceling student loans, bring this one up. Go check out Rev Chuck Curry. Curry spelled Currie. Check that out. Find that tweet from April 28th. Share this one around. Brilliant. Brilliant. This one is amazing. Sherry Jacobus here says, "How old was Laura when her mom was 73? Because even if she gave birth to her at age 40, it meant Laura made her wait tables to pay for her Ivy League degree and law degree that she never used when Laura was well into her 30s and on television." That is hilarious. So if what Laura Ingraham is saying is true, then Laura Ingraham made her mom wait tables while Laura was on television so that she could pay off Laura's student debt. Hilarious. Luke here. "I made my mother labor for shit wages until she died to prove a lesson." All right. Look at how many freaking ads. This is crazy. Jesus Christ. My God. I will say, I own one of these. I'm not a sponsor. In fact, I should become a sponsor. I should contact them because Having a bidet, I'm not even joking, is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Check out Tushy, though I probably shouldn't say that till I'm actually sponsored and can make money off of it. But it's definitely a good purchase. Look at this. I'm getting taken by these ads. Can't help it. All right. And yeah, other reactions, do you hate your mom? Happy Mother's Day. Okay. All right. I think we kind of get the point. But to think that we can't or shouldn't cancel student debt because people before you had to pay it off, or there is no argument. There is zero argument, because it would be one of the biggest boons to the economy, allowing people the freedom now to maybe start their life, have a family, buy a house, put money that they would now have back into the economy, as opposed to paying off student debt. And in many cases, the interest on the debt is just insane. Like, people have already paid off their initial actual student loan, but because of the interest on it, they're going to be paying for the rest of their lives. It is ridiculous. All right. That was the Ingraham story that you were all waiting for. Now let me just get some chats, and it's 4:25, so we're hitting about an hour and a half. That works for me. I'll finish these chats, some random chats, and then that's the weekend. Nanette Snowden says, "Hey David, it's nice to see you live. Got to keep Dems in power. Please vote in 22, my American friends. We're all royally screwed." Yeah. This is why Biden has to actually he needs to cancel student debt, legalize, and these are things he can do through executive order. Legalize cannabis, or I should say, take it out of Schedule 1. The legalization can happen through Congress, but he can at the very least take it out of Schedule 1, and that would move some people, maybe. But doing nothing will encourage no one to vote. Black Hawk says, bidet is gangsta. Very cool thing. Well, there you go. I'm not even joking. Bidet, that thing's like $100. Totally worth the investment. It does not break. It lasts. And changes your life. Wiz says, I just want to say I love your calm portrayals of leftist ideology. Oh, thank you. I'm not always calm, but glad you appreciate it. Stormwatcher says, Pennsylvanian here, voting for Fetterman. Good stuff. Man, can you imagine that dude in the Senate? Again, he's not a perfect person, but the energy, I think, would definitely change a little bit. All right, it's too hard to follow this small text on my screen, so I'm going to go over to whatever chats are on my screen to make it easy for those watching. Someone says $100 damn. Not sure what that is in relation to. That's from Nanette. Pierre P, I assume you mean Polyev, reminds me of the MAGA crowd. For sure. Hi, friend. Thank you for mentioning that Biden one-term promise, as I was starting to feel a little crazy like I had just imagined it. Hope you're doing well. Much love from Red State Hell. Much love to you. Hang in there. Leslyn Lewis equals Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, definitely some similarities. You heard baby crying? He's throwing toys around out there. He's getting violent. Black Caucus. David, I beat Resident Evil Village today and finished Dark Souls 3 a few days ago. What? How are you doing all this? Except for 2 bosses, I'm going to start Dark Souls 1 Remaster now. My goodness. So what you're saying is you want a video game update. Well, I can definitely offer that. I am right now playing through Triangle Strategy. I think I'm nearing the end of it. It's hard to tell. But so far, my game of the year. Triangle Strategy it's the first strategy RPG I've played. So, it's very new to me, and it's fantastic. I'm also playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, a JRPG that I'm having a lot of fun times with. And what else am I playing? A little bit of NHL when I get the time. Have you ever heard of the Stanley Parable? It's an I have. It's an amazing game. They just came out with the second one too, but you should play. It's a life-changing. I've heard of it. I have not played through it. Is it PC only? If it's on Xbox, I'll check it out. Or on PlayStation. But I don't have a PC that's worth playing. Or I don't have a PC. Maybe at some point. Good idea to limit chat to subs. I agree. Definitely. Katie Porter for president. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not against that. She is very new, though. I often wonder, when you are a member of the House and you're only there a couple years. She's been there since 2018. But how successful can they really be? Usually it's senators that end up being nominees, but I don't know. I guess it's possible. I do think Porter has a lot of cross appeal. I mean, she flipped a state that was only ever red, was my understanding. At least it was red since the 80s. So, and she did that by being progressive. Who knew? So definitely she has appeal there. And I've seen, when I post videos on Katie Porter, there's never any negativity. It's across the board positive reaction. And that's even on Facebook. Facebook, like, incredibly conservative audience there, and she never gets any hate. That said, if she were to decide to, take it to the next level through a national race, they're going to generate hate around her for sure. So that stuff can be manufactured out of nowhere. But I guess the question is, would it actually stick, considering her how strong she's been? Do I think Portugal and Spain are similar? Having been to neither country, how would I answer? I have no idea. It's like, in terms of what? Culture, politics, food. I'm half Portuguese, but I don't know enough about Spain to really tell you otherwise. I did cover recently I forget what the party's name was now, but a I think the Socialist Party, I guess. But I did a story on that as they're more of like a centrist party than a socialist party. But in terms of Spain's politics, I'm just not up to date on what is going on there. Is there anything positive happening? Seems like all negative, backsliding, regression. There is incredibly positive stuff happening in terms of unionizing. So Starbucks now I think has like 40 locations unionized. I did a video like a week and a half ago on their current situation. At that point they had 25. I think 25 places unionized. Now I'm hearing it's like 40. I've lost count of where it's at, but it's increased. And so that's incredible. Of course, the Amazon warehouse unionizing, incredible. That's where the real power has to start. It has to start with the working class gaining power, and unionizing workplaces of massive corporations like a Starbucks, like Amazon, is an incredible step in the right direction, and you should be excited and feel hopeful about that. So I know there isn't a lot in terms of, actual politics to be hopeful about, but that does give me hope, seeing the working class collectively organize and have their own voice. All right. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Donald James says, what do you think of Cenk donating $28,000 to Nina's campaign? Incredible. It's like, if you could afford to do that, people think like Cenk is like, some people think he's like, a multi-millionaire. I'm almost positive. In fact, I'm pretty positive Hassan makes a lot more money than Cenk does. So that kind of money from him, it means something. That's a big chunk of his money. That is crazy to me. I would never do that. I don't have that kind of money to spare, but it shows you how passionate he is about Nina, and he's right to be passionate about her. I mean, she is an incredible candidate. It's just getting enough people out there to vote in her district. That's the hard thing. Like this, a lot of the work has to be on the ground, right? Like you can only do so much through ads, be it television or, Facebook ads or whatever, or even online, like Twitter, YouTube videos. That's only going to do so much because you have to actually target who lives in your district. And the only way to really do that is on the ground, is like door knocking. So that's where I hope a lot of that money is going, is some real on the ground momentum, but we have to see. Like above all else, that matters more than endorsements. That matters more than TV ads when it comes to a race like this, because again, it's a highly localized race. We're not talking about an entire state here. So all the work's done on the ground. We have to see if they did what was necessary to win. Yeah, I saw Roger Stone's hired by the Ontario Party, like a super conservative party. I'm not sure how much of an impact they're really going to make. Like a story like that, I feel like I if I covered it, I would only be giving it oxygen. Like there's no real reason to cover it when they have no power right now. But I don't know. Hassan said he makes $200,000 a month. I think he makes more, but yeah, there's no way Cenk makes that. So understand his donation to Nina is massive. Wiz, or what should I call you? C-Wiz says, I like Hassan's views, but I feel uncomfortable with his crudeness, to be honest, but it works with him and his crowd. I don't watch enough of him to know what crudeness I guess you're talking about, but I think what he's doing is fine, is a positive to be that large on Twitch with a younger audience, getting them into these issues, getting them largely informed. You know, I'm sure there are things you could cherry pick where it's like, oh, he was wrong about this or whatever, but taken as a whole, obviously, he's largely on the correct side, fighting for the right things, and I think that's a net positive. Who is this? I can't see this. I can't see these names. Louis says, is it your belief that AOC, if AOC had shown up to the Staten Island union effort, that would have hurt their chances? If so, why? I raised that point in my initial video on this, but I said in that video that I have no idea, and I don't think it would have had an impact either way. So I guess the answer is no, because I really don't think it would have had any impact. Like it's nice to see, like AOC and Bernie showed up for the recent rally they had that I covered. It's nice to see that, but it's still just, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, we understand it's largely just it's politics, right? Like it's showing up to show your support for this fight. That's good. But what actually matters from lawmakers is actual legislation, getting things passed, getting things done. Because ultimately, and this is what I said in my initial video on this, showing up to an event like this, it's just symbolism. Like I'm not against it. It's fine, but it's not going to change everything. Like it's weird to try and, I don't know. Like what I found amazing about the entire AOC not showing up to the union, to Staten Island thing initially, was that the same people complaining about that are the same people that complain that politicians only do virtue signaling. Yet showing up to give a speech in Staten Island over a vote when you're a politician, that's all that is. That's just virtue signaling. That's just symbolism. That's nothing else. So it's, again, to me, all that story did was help expose who is full of shit and who isn't. Because if you actually care about progress and things getting done, then you have to care about their actual fight in Congress, what they are trying to push. And AOC has tried to push several pro-union pieces of legislation, as of course Bernie has as well. So that's what matters. Now, they don't have the numbers, unfortunately, to pass most of what they want to pass, but that's the current state of the Congress. You can't blame like 7 members of Congress that everyone else who's corrupted doesn't want to, support their legislation. That's why you need to elect more of them. That's also why I say, electoral politics isn't the end all be all. You have to focus on unions, and we're seeing that now. But you can't expect lawmakers to do that for them. That has to be done by people on the ground. That's how that shit gets done. And we saw that's how it got done. AOC didn't show up and they won. So clearly they didn't need her to win. Anyways, I missed a bunch of chats in the process. That one guy says, my girlfriend and I are both progressive, but you're one of the only channels she enjoys. Too much Fox News reaction vids on YouTube. Good job keeping things positive, David. I try not to do too much Fox News reaction. Though I have to say, when I do that stuff, it's largely for me because it's like a break from actual stuff. Reacting to like Fox News videos is entertaining for me personally. But yeah, I try not to do too much of just that kind of stuff. But thank you. Glad you enjoy. And thank you for the very generous donation as well. Jericho says, here's some diaper money for you, Dave. Keep the great work. Well, thank you, Jericho. Father Ted says, reminder that coastlines and beaches are public property. Know your rights, people. Mike H says, I miss Michael Brooks. You had to bring the chat down. I'm joking. Of course we all do. He was often like the North Star in terms of if there was an issue where I wasn't sure like I didn't have like a fully formed opinion on. I wanted some other perspectives. I would always go to Michael Brooks and see how he felt about it. And of course, he would bring up, some historical context that would add a lot more information to the situation and be able to better inform my position. So yeah, Michael was, of course, incredible. Thomas Powers says, "Yo, Dave, thanks for all the awesome work. Here is some beer money." Thank you. I need diaper money and beer money, so this is much appreciated. Thank you, Thomas. And thank you, Tex. All these chats came in at the same time. Did I do something? I was getting like 2 or 3 for like a couple hours, and now I just had a bunch all at once. Thank you so much. You miss my hair? No, you don't. I don't miss my hair, so you should not miss my hair. Taking a shower with long, thick hair is terrible. Terrible. But I don't want to, complain too much because I'm lucky to have hair. So I don't want to, like, this is why I'll never, like, there was this, I don't know, a few days ago or last week, all these tweets about like Tim Pool being bald. And look, I'm not going to get into it either way. But why? That isn't why Tim Pool sucks. It's like, leave the poor guy alone. And I shouldn't say poor guy. He's not a good person. He makes a ton of money off of spreading garbage. But you're not going to swing any people over by going after his baldness. I just find it kind of weird to do that, but whatever. Maybe I'm just too old school. Did you see the Michael Brooks montage on TMR live show in Boston? I didn't. Is that online somewhere? I didn't get to watch the live show, but I would like to see that. I heard like everybody cried. So if I watch that, it has to be not while I'm streaming, and maybe after I sit down with like a couple drinks. Solid Snake says, "Is it fair to say that if Hassan Piker was not related to Cenk Uygur, he would not be as successful as he is now? He got a boost from being related to him." These sorts of hypotheticals, I have to say, they're impossible, because Hassan, would he be into politics at all if he didn't have Cenk as his uncle? Like, when we do hypotheticals like that, you have to think of, okay, what was possibly his uncle's impact on him? Probably getting him into this stuff a little more, a better understanding. I mean, I know Hassan worked at TYT for a bit, so that, of course, also led to developing that interest. So there's a lot at play there. It's impossible to know. But do your relatives and the family you born into and the wealth that already exists in that family, does that benefit you if it happens to be one that gives you opportunities and wealth? Of course. And by the way, he hasn't denied that either. Hassan has mentioned how Cenk being his uncle, of course, has given him a leg up. How can it not? So I don't think it's controversial to acknowledge that. But we can't choose what family we're born into or what, where we're born. So we have to just deal with what we're given. And that's why if you're born into wealth or, a family that benefits you in some way, then you should at the very least, inform yourself on how to help others who weren't as fortunate as you are. So that's what I have tried to do. I was born like middle class, but still a lot more better off than a lot of people. So I think it's important to now do what I do, to try and help inform others and move society forward. Daniel says, "Hey man, did you see that a Texas school was hitting back against teachers for speaking out by making them sign non-disparagement in their contracts?" I didn't see that. I'm not sure what that's about exactly. Did not see that, Daniel. Sorry. This is the one major downside of being my own boss, or I should not even just that, but like having no employees, is there are many stories that I will miss because I am one person and it's impossible for me to be informed on what is happening around the US and around Canada, because people expect both of me and it's just not possible. Tabula Rasta says I had to fall back from TYT. Jenk yells too much. It's fun. Jenk is someone that I feel like may not give a good first impression, but the more you watch him, the more you see his humanity, and like he's not just a guy that yells. Like he's, especially if you ever watch like the post games or whatever, you know, it helps to humanize him. But I can totally see, like, if you're not all that familiar with him, that yeah, it could be a turn off at the beginning. All right. Maybe we'll go till 5. Then I'll jump off. How about that? So 10 more minutes, 9 more minutes. Get your chats in now, right now. Get them in. Get them in. While I hit these random sound bites. Not sure what they say. Actually, I think this one, people said this is Marjorie Green.
This is truly mental illness.
Truly mental illness. I think that's what that one is. Actually, do I have my little board here that tells me these things? That's not it. Let me see if I can find it. So even though I can't hear it, because this thing acts up for some reason, I know what it is. Ah, this one.
That makes rational national sense.
Should be Janine Pirro saying rational national. And then we got Bernie Sanders.
When you have rational national priorities.
When you have rational national priorities. I also got the Michael Brooks laugh since he was brought up. Look at that. I can't hear any of them, but I know what they are. Doug says, fun to look back at Jenk on MSNBC. Totally. You know what's really interesting? I really enjoy watching Jenk on other networks. Like, though it happens almost never now. But, you know, back then when he hosted on MSNBC, but also on like CNN or what's that show? The show on C-SPAN, like the Collins show. He's really good. He's really good in those scenarios because he's able to, I think, communicate to average viewers a message that they don't normally hear on, you know, CNN or C-SPAN or MSNBC, or I think he was on ABC, the Sunday show, a couple times. So it's I enjoy watching those because it's like you can see him connecting with the average viewer that is, you know, unfamiliar with YouTube. Thoughts on Destiny? I'm not really following him much anymore. He had sort of a weird, once he did his weird turn during the Democratic primary in 2020, who was he backing that was like so terrible? The guy that was like he worked for a health insurance company. This is how forgettable these people are. But he was backing some moron in the Democratic primary. It's like, what are you doing, dude? So once he did that, to me, it was clear he was just doing shit just to be contrarian, and once you start doing shit just to be contrarian, you completely lose me. So he completely lost me then. That isn't to say, he's had good debates and he's destroyed people and that kind of thing, and that's fine. But he doesn't appear to have any real moral center in terms of what actually drives him, what he actually fights for. It's more just like, this thing's popular, so now I'm against this. It's weird. T9 says, what happened to Greenwald? He's an insane right-winger now. Yes, he is. That's what happened. John says, go Leafs, go. Damn right. There's a game tonight, last game of the season, I believe, and then it is the playoffs. Playoffs? It's the playoffs. So I am looking forward to being disappointed in the first round, as I usually am. They have not won a first round. Or I should say, they have not won a NHL playoff series for, I think, like 18 years is what I heard. Which, when I heard that, I almost didn't believe it. Because I'm thinking, how old am I? Because I do remember them being in a second round. I'm pretty old. But this team is really good. So I'll be even more disappointed when they lose in the first round. But I would love to be stunned. At this point, I just have to expect losses. Otherwise, I'm just going to be disappointed. Like Matthews this year, their top scorer is the NHL's leading scorer. Like, he is freaking on fire. The Leafs never have players like this. Like, they never have star players, but he's killing it. So it's a exciting time to be a Leafs fan and to be let down in the playoffs. Looking forward to it. John Delaney, that's what it was. Destiny backed John Delaney in the Democratic primary in 2020. John Delaney. So for me, that was like, okay, unfollow, go away. Not even paying attention to you at all anymore. So I have no idea, honestly, what he's up to nowadays. I caught a bit. Actually, he was in a debate last week on vaccines with some conservatives at some conservative event, because I went in to watch Ben Burgess. I was curious about Ben Burgess's appearance at I forget the event's name now, but it was some conservative event like last week. And he was on before then. And yeah, he was like debating, he's for, health measures, which is good to see. So he's not completely nuts. But I don't know what his beliefs are. I'm not sure he has any. Because he's all over the map. Three more minutes. Ben Norton did leave. He was, wasn't he on the gray zone? And he left gray zone. I'm not sure. He's someone else I kind of stopped paying attention to after they said wildly insane shit. But my understanding is he's a little more back down to reality now, but I don't know. Shannon Water, I totally agree. Shannon says, after living with a bidet, traveling anywhere except Japan or France can be annoying. 100%. Now, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity to really travel. I traveled a bit when I was, when I finally had a week off, the first week off I've had since the pandemic, like a month ago. And a lack of bidet definitely impacted me. But like, if I'm telling you, this is why I was recommending earlier. You got to get a bidet. Got to get a bidet. They're super cheap. The ones you add on to your toilet, super cheap compared to they're cheap compared to, the toilets that are built with bidets in them. I think those could be like $1,000, which is insane. But you can get a cheap add-on and it will change your life. Really cool. Scottet says, I took my 16-year-old nephew to his first hockey game, Leafs versus Wild, in December. We sat behind the Leafs bench because for some reason he loves Toronto teams. We live in Iowa. That's amazing. I've never sat that close. I would freaking love. See, the problem with being a hockey fan in Toronto is if you're ever lucky enough to get tickets to a game, you're going to be, up in the nosebleeds. So I've never been anywhere close to the actual action when I've gone to a Leafs game. And I've only gone like a handful of times in my life. Like 3 games maybe over my 30 years on Earth. 30 plus years. I'm not going to get too specific here, but I think I've only gone to 2 regular season games and never gone to a playoff game. And I've been to, I think, 1 preseason game. So yeah, definitely would be nice to go more if I could afford the incredibly expensive tickets. All right. Hold up. Khalid, you supported Martin O'Malley in 2015. Are you from Maryland? Is that why? Because why else would you do that? What are you doing? I would love to know why. If you're serious, I would love to know why. Richard Wolff mopped up Destiny in their debate. I watched that, actually. That's probably the last debate with Destiny that I've watched. And it was because of Richard Wolff, not because of Destiny. That was enjoyable. I want to hear from this Martin O'Malley supporter. I want to hear what's up with that. Before I go, I want to hear what's up with that. It's 5:02. Jesus Christ, the last few minutes flew by. Once I hear about Martin O'Malley, I will get off. Yeah, Donald, I agree. Vosh and Hassan are not in the same category as Destiny. No. Here we go. O'Malley lost out to Sanders and Clinton. I know, but you said you supported O'Malley. Was I wrong? Why did you support O'Malley? Why? Well, after this, I'm going to play with my child, have some dinner, play some games, go to bed. Black Caucus is correct. All right. I don't know. I'm not getting a reaction from this O'Malley supporter about why they backed O'Malley. All right. Too late. Time to go. Thank you all for showing up, keeping me company here. But it's time to leave now. Echo says, your shit is dope, David. One of the few I watch for updates on things. Cheers, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, time to go. Plus, I'm beginning to slur words now because of this drink. I don't drink a whole lot, so like one beer, surprisingly, is doing something. See you later. Maybe I'll be on Twitch this weekend. I don't know. On Sunday? Twitch link is below the video. Twitch.tv/TheRationalNational, I think. I'm sure that's what the link is. So follow me on there for some more fun. But, all right. Thank you all for showing up. Good. I want to transition. Smooth transition. Goodbye.